Bringing you another tier list today. This one is going to be in the Insidious Conjuring universe. And now, I have not seen Annabelle 2, or I think there's a third one, and I have not seen La Llorona. So these are the only ones that I have watched. Okay. I did give my Conjuring Last Rites review, very short. I'll talk a little bit more about it here, I guess, but I think what I'll try and do is go in order of the Conjuring and Insidious, and then do the three spin-offs that I got here of the Conjuring universe. So, um, how should I start? Let's start with the Conjuring. So, the first Conjuring movie, and by the way, the categories are spooky for awesome, boo for almost there, jump scare, one time watch, and forgetting ghosts is just yeah, just no, not happening. So the first Conjuring movie is excellent. It is actually, um, uh, other than a couple of Insidious films that I really like, it is my favorite from like all of these ghost haunting type of situational films. I love the Warrens. I love the actors playing the Warrens. I love the characters of the family in this one, dealing with the ghosts and all that. I love how it's like comes together kind of deal. They're almost dealing with what's great about the first two Conjuring movies, which I'll get to the second one as well, is that not only are the Warrens dealing with this stuff, but the family itself is dealing with the stuff, and I can't remember which Conjuring it is, but like I think it's the second one where there's like a scene where even cops show up and they notice that something's wrong with the house, and it's crazy to think that, and but I love the first film. I think it's oh, eyes are watering. I want to get this tier list out this morning. But The Conjuring, the first one is amazing. Not it's I'd watch it like once a Halloween, so to that level. It's fantastic. Conjuring 2 is going to go up there. Same thing. This one, I believe, is the one that takes place in London or something. I think that was the one there with the family, and it's the same thing. It's pretty much like the Warrens investigating this house and all the stuff going on there. Um, yes, I believe this is the first one with Thalek the nun. If I recall, I think it is. I have to go. Have to go back in there, but still, it's a memorable movie. I really like the characters and stuff. I like how also how these movies like don't go for the stupid schlock gore crap either. Like they're in a way they're kind of like PG-ish, and that's okay. It's cool, and I like how the jump scares in these two first films are actually threats, kind of jump scares. They're not just some cheap throw-in, right? Um, third Conjuring movie gets a boo rating. It's still good, still solid. Um, it dives more into the sort of reason why the Warrens stopped doing things. Obviously leading into the fourth and final Conjuring movie. I doubt it's going to be the last Conjuring movie overall, but for these particular actors and characters, yes. It's got some solid beats and everything. It's just not as strong as the first two. Um, and I like the antagonists in the first two films more than the third one. The third one's fine, but it's a little weaker than the first two. So um, now we get to the fourth one, jump scare. So I'm gonna like reiterate what I said in my interview is that what drags this film down are the cliche scares. Okay, you see them coming. Whereas like even the third film and the especially the first two, they're there, they grab you. There was one sequence in the fourth film that was really good. like a jump scare like that didn't see coming. You kind of suspect it's coming, but overall, the unfortunately, it's like a setup. You see the jump scare coming. It's like one, two, three, boom, it happens. I'm not a fan. I like the ending, kind of like wrapping up the Warren storyline. I thought it was cool. I thought the climax was very interesting there. First kind of half of the film is pretty much like introducing a boyfriend character, and I mean the setup's fine, but it's not like the first three where it like has the character development going along with the film. You know what I mean? In the fourth one, it felt like it dragged some parts. The weakest antagonist, I think, to me in these Conjuring films, it's pretty much a witch Joker look. If you get my meaning, it's kind of like it feels like schlock to me, like in a lot of the parts, but where this antagonist shows up and all that, it's kind of like this feels like a run of the mill kind of horror movie of this kind of haunted level. It's like nah, I'm good. So it's the weakest one, I think. Um, it's watchable, but it's definitely not as strong as the first two, especially that really did a great job there. And I go with like critics on this one. I think when I think it's like when James Bond is not 100% on the films and everything, you can really tell the quality drops a bit. Part three, I think he was somewhat part of. I'm not sure. Part four really feels like a departure from the first three films, and it shows. So enough of the fourth film. It's watchable, but it's definitely not the best one by far. Um, all right, so we're moving on to Insidious. Hmm. Insidious one, I'm gonna put in Boo because I watched them in chronological order, like three, four, one, and two, and then five. Um, I don't know if that tampered my expectations for the first film. I still think that it's a great kickoff to the entire franchise of Insidious. There, it has moods, and setting, um, and it does focus on the family there. Robert Patrick's character, who's prevalent in all of them, really. But it wasn't as I wouldn't say it wasn't as enjoyable. It wasn't as creepy for me and very engaging as the other ones that I'm going to talk about here. But still, it's like for a kickoff film. If you watch this in order, sure, it's there. But for me, it's not spooky enough. Insidious 2, I'm going to put in Boo. Same thing. It's interesting with like a cliffhanger at the end of the first film going into the second film, and more exploration of the same family there and whatnot. Um, the ideas are cool. It just wasn't top level for me. I guess chapter three and four, which I'm going to talk about, spoiled me for the first two films. That's maybe my fault for watching them not in order. Um, but still cool. First two films, I do still recommend them, of course. Insidious Chapter Three, my favorite one. I love this. I love the setup. I love how the Elise character, we actually kind of like, this is sort of her first kind of way of going from events that happen to her kind of getting back into stuff, and then ultimately she shows up in the first film. And the prequels, watching the prequel 3 and 4 films, and then 1 and 2, there's a little bit of kind of like continuity with, at least in the characters, a little bit. But I think they do a really good job if you're going to watch them in chronological 3, 4, 1, 2, and then 5. Still cool to do that, and the overall arc of the Elise character is integral for this entire series here. I love the third one. I love the antagonists in the third one and the fourth one. I might as well throw the fourth one up there. The one with the key creature. Um, 3 and 4 are my favorite in this series. Like they're so cool. I love the kind of like the I guess the side characters that help Elise. They're really cool. That's why it's kind of weird when they're kind of introduced in the first film. It's like they look different, but as I said, chronologically, going 3, 4, and then 1, 2, still like despite a little continuity bits, you still can follow with the overall story with those. But 3 and 4 are amazing. I love the jump scares are great. They're threats. You see like the kind of other side more, you know, which is like involved with all of these films and I love the creature designs. The third one, well, the fourth one with the key creature, and then the third one was like I believe it was the breathing dude. Really eerie, really creepy designs in there. So cool. Fifth Insidious is gonna go and jump scare. Come on. Um, it's after the first four involving the sun, and of course my throat is drying up, pissing me off. So he's kind of like at an outs with his dad a little bit, and you know, after the events of like the first 2 films, because this takes place after the second film, years later. It's kind of like they've make it kind of a downer of a film between the father and the son and what's been going on with the wife and stuff. It's just that typical horror movie thing where like it's dark characters. You have the something they're on the outs and everything, and it kind of tired of that whole cliche. On top of that, they bring back an antagonist there that was used in the previous films, and it's kind of like really you kind of like bring this thing back, and it's like you couldn't do anything different because that's what the first 4 films felt like, where you had like a different entity with each of the 4, and they were done well. We're here in the fifth one; they just recycle, and a lot of the movie feels like that. It feels like a recycled material. There are some elements in the film that are really neat, like the painting that the son has and all that. I think is really interesting, and I did like the climax, and I did like the overall ending of it. But the there's a character in the fifth film that's kind of like irrelevant. Felt irrelevant, unfortunately, in the film, and yeah, it just felt like a humdrum Insidious film, and that's unfortunate. Uh, they're saying that they're going to do another one. I hope it's a lot better than this fifth one, and we'll leave it at that. Annabelle, we're going to throw in Forgotten Ghosts or Forgetting Ghosts because, yeah, it was a pretty bad film. Um, from one of the pieces there. It sort of connects with the Conjuring films. So this is I don't know. I think it was like the first side Conjuring film that they came out with. I don't remember, but it wasn't that good. You didn't care for the characters in there. At least I didn't. Stupid jump scares that were typical horror cliche garbage. This didn't do it for me. The Nun, the first Nun movie, schlock. Really cool Valak character from the Conjuring films, the main Conjuring films. They could have done so much with this character, this antagonist, but they chose to make it a schlocky horror film. Unfortunate. There are moments, I suppose, in the film, but it just the parts of them I laughed at. And you're not really supposed to laugh at things that's scary. It's scary, in the film, and unfortunately, this was it. So the nun was such a was actually a real more disappointment than the Annabelle thing, because Val character is very interesting, and they could have went a little bit more into that character perhaps, and that time period of its first appearance and all that. But they didn't do that. Instead, they went for a stupid schlocky film. The characters were okay, the main ones, I guess, but it was too cliche, and the jump scares were stupid. Um, the only cool thing about it was when Valak actually shows up and you see it. So yeah, same thing for the Nun too. And throwing in the bottom. Come on, like if the first one they messed up on, and you can't you know make it better in the second one, you got problems. Just stop, because it's a really cool character with this Val character, and you could have like they had the same characters come back for the second one, which they could have sort of fixed a lot of the problems from the first one, but they didn't. And at that point, you just don't care. Um, so Annabelle has like three films. I didn't watch the. I only watched the first one. Everybody's saying that Annabelle Creation is really good, but I really don't have interest because the first one took me out of it. So yeah. As far as these universes go, going forward, there would I want another Conjuring film? If it's done well, and if James Wan's doing it, or someone comparable to that, you're probably going to get like a prequel of missions or cases that the Warrens, when they're younger, take on. Um, One cool thing I will say about the fourth Conjuring movie is that the entity in there is faced for one of their first cases there, and an event happens, and it was really interesting. Like that part was cool. But I think bringing the Conjuring back, you'll have to do prequel films there, okay, of cases that the Warrens did or supposedly did, and that will be interesting if they're done well. But the problem with that, I find, is like it's like Hollywood. Much of a lot of the horror with Hollywood is it's cliche, it's the same thing. It's over and over and over without it's just a cash cow, cash grab. Where the first two films primarily felt like character development. The writers did a good job. They used a lot of tricks and effects for the scares to be there and everything, and that's I think where top tier horror movies should be. You have good characters, good writing, you have good jump scares, good setup, and it's not like a gore fest and a like cliche pile of junk that most horror movies are today, especially with the haunted films that they've had. I mean, how many of these like possessed movies have they come out with that are garbage? I could count a lot. There are very few that are good outside of the Exorcist deal. Um, well, Exorcist 3 and Exorcist 1. But Insidious is the same thing, right? Where Insidious, especially the fifth Insidious, felt like it was just like a thrown in movie, and didn't really feel like it was actually part of the Insidious, the first four films. It just give us level of chapter 3, chapter 4, then we're talking, right? Because those are my favorite. I think those are like the most solid in the first four Insidious anyway. Like I said, for Insidious 1 and 2, it's like I got spoiled by watching the chapter 3 and chapter 4. But I get Insidious 1 and 2 if you watch them in order, on like the very interesting introduction of the family and all that kind of stuff. Um, but that's my ranking for Insidious and the Conjuring films at this point. Um, if they came out with another Conjuring movie, I would be kind of like skeptical a little bit, unless it's like a prequel on who is writing it and who's doing it. The same, well, Insidious, the same thing, because that fifth film was lacking. Um, what would be the plot? Okay, because you can only do so much. It's when you get it. I think like the best case is when you have some film trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. You don't need to go past that because the story gets stale, the characters get stale, unless they miraculously come up with some kind of new path for those characters. See what I'm saying? Anyway, that's my tier list there. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite Conjuring and Insidious movies are. Maybe you like The Nun. Maybe you like Annabelle. Cool. Let me know in the comments there, and do subscribe to my channel there, and we'll catch you in the next video.